Well, good morning again. It's good to see everybody. Thank you guys for coming out this morning, and also thank you for those watching us online this morning. Today, we were going to talk about seeking something, and what happens when you seek something? You probably find it. So, we're going to talk about this morning. How often do you guys search for something? Is it very often? I mean, you got your keys, you guys search for those in the morning because you can't get to work without them. You got clothes that you want to wear, so you seek out which outfit you're going to have that morning. I mean, you seek your car, that's probably back in the college days, but you seek where you left it if you can't remember, but you're going to find it eventually, hopefully. So Jesus came down, and what did he do? He seeked the lost. That's what he did. He came down to seek the lost. He didn't come down and just start, looking around, walking around willy-nilly. He had a focus. He was on a mission to seek something specific, and he found something specific. He had a target. He was seeking for something, and what was that something? Us. He was seeking us, the lost. Your purpose that you have must also have a mission, have a calling, have a purpose, have a plan. You are seeking something also. I mean, you may ask yourself, am I seeking, why do I exist? Why am I alive? Why am I here? That's what you're seeking. Why did God send me to this world? Well, he came here for a reason. He put you here for a reason. You're here for a reason. You're here to do something. So Revelations 2:25, it says, to hold on to what you have until Christ comes back. So when you were born again in Christ, Jesus gave you a new name and he gave you a new identity. You are a child of his and you are written in the book of life. Once God has found you, he says, this is my child. This is my descendant. I am well pleased. When he needs you and calls to you, do you answer or do you say no? How do you think God feels when he calls you and you just turn around and say no? Very often when God calls us, we don't respond, and sometimes we just remain silent. How do you think that makes him feel? I mean, anyone with children, when you call them and they don't do something and they remain silent, how do you feel? God gave you birth, he gave you gifts. Each one of you is unique. My gift is not the same as your guys' gift. He gave you eyes, he gave you ears, he gave you intelligence, he gave you a body, which is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Now that you have that, what are you going to do with it? I hope you go seek something. When you lose money, do you look for it? When again you're trying to find a specific, pair of pants, shoes, clothes, do you seek it? Do you seek to find what you want to look for? To seek for something is to put effort and time in order to find it. When you don't make an effort, unfortunately, it may lead to you having a spirit of giving up. I mean, you're seeking for something. If you're not going to find it, how long does it take until you finally go, I guess I'll just move on to the next one. I don't need that specific pair of shoes. I didn't need that $150 I dropped out of my wallet. When you seek something, if you don't find it, you get to that point where I'm just going to give up. This is the time that you need to seek God's help. God sent his son for us to seek and know him. He came here to seek the lost. That's us. How come we can't seek for the lost as well? When praying or seeking something, how much effort do you put into it? Do you put a little bit or do you put a lot into it? That is what depends on how far it takes you to get that spirit of giving up. God completed his mission and he found us. And he wants us to do the same. Seek And make sure to bring others with you. Don't do it by yourself. He's always there with you to help you seek. I mean, how great is it to have someone help you seek something? It's awesome, because then you'll probably be able to find it a lot quicker than just yourself. Each one of us has a gift, and it's a gift from God. Again, each one of us is unique. My gift is not the same as your guys' gift. But you need to unwrap that gift. I mean, think. This time of year, you have the Christmas tree. There's gifts under it. They're wrapped. I mean, you look at them and you're kind of like, man, what's in there? You start thinking, what's in there? Is it something I want? Is it something I don't want? Is it something that's going to be regifted next year? You don't know. But it's wrapped for you to unwrap. Same thing with birthday gifts. You get a box or you get something, you look at it and go, oh, is this the one thing I've been wanting for my deepest desires all year round? Or is it something that's going to end up in my closet that I could care about less next year? As a Christian, God has promised you great things. And he may have a lot of gifts that need to be unwrapped. When each of us unwraps those gifts, you could find that it is definitely something that your deepest desires have wanted all along. And that could be God. Because, again, when you seek something, you're going to find it. He wants you to seek something so you can find it. So this brings me to my first point. A gift that keeps on giving. And I want to say this now, there's an Easter egg in that slide, and anybody that knows this movie, because I'm a big movie geek, it played a lot of times during this year. It has Chevy Chase in it, and what does his cousin tell him? Oh, Clark, that's a gift that keeps on giving. Jelly of the Month Club. I'm sorry, I'm a big movie geek. I can't help it. I like pop culture stuff. I'm a big geek. I read comic books. I watch movies. I listen to music. This is what I got. But do you recall what you guys got last year for Christmas? Do you recall what you got for your last birthday? If you do recall, do you still use it? Or is it in a closet somewhere collecting dust? Now, do you remember what God has given you when you came to him and were saved? Or will come to him and become saved? It's probably a newness of life. It's a purpose, a plan, a seeking of something. Romans 11:29. For God's gifts and calling are irrevocable. What does irrevocable mean, bless you? You can't give it back. You can't re-gift it. It's yours. Get your name stamped on it. It's engraved. You ain't giving it back. Many will neglect the important gifts that God has given. He, unfortunately, will remind you why you were given that gift. He will give you, bless you, the most important gifts that you will receive. You think this gift is important. I need to dust it off, and I need to rediscover why it was given to me, and I need to realize that this is going to make it all better. So, we are people of God's Word, and therefore, we are people of truth, and we use that truth to bring peace. As people of truth, we must seek truth. We must speak truth. We must live truth. And when we do that, we can spread peace. Truth involves all truth in all areas of your life. This is God's creation. This is God's history. This is God's world. We must do the hard work. Seek, know, speak, live. You have to do it in every area of your life. And also, don't do it alone. Bring people with you. Anyone here been in the middle of a hurricane? Hands? Oh, see, last service I didn't get anybody. Nice. So, when you're in the middle of a hurricane or a storm, what happens? You look around and go, thank goodness I'm not out in that. But here's the thing, we are all in the middle of a storm. That storm, unfortunately, is a storm of lies, deceptions, and dishonesty. We are living in a post truth society where truth is determined by feelings, not by facts. 2 Timothy 4:3 through 4. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires or passions, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear, and they will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. So, do you know how to get good truth, which is God's truth, and spread it out to those around you? Here we go. You seek. That's it. You seek. You may seek people, because anybody in the military or the army or any kind of groups will tell you there is strength in numbers. If you're the only one going up against 100 people with guns and all you got is a rock, don't you think you want at least 1,000 people with rocks to help you? It'd make it a lot easier. I mean, would probably outcome be a little bit different. The more people that you have, and the more people that become knowledgeable of God's word and truth, they will know peace, and it will be better for it. So, point number 2. How do you seek like Jesus did? How do you seek like Jesus? Well, this day and age, how do you seek people outside these walls? I mean, you guys came here this morning to seek a message and some songs. Well, mission accomplished. What's the next mission? What are you going to do when you leave these walls? What are you going to seek? I mean, this day and age, again, you have screens, you have TVs, you have computers, you have smartphones. Those can serve as purveyors of truth, peace, and love. They can serve as those. You have the internet, you have social media. However, social media can be a very gray area. It can be very good, or it can be extremely bad. You have to be careful how you use it. You may search for something. I mean, you go on your phone or computer and you can search Google and just type something in like, when does the Reesville post office close? Well, guess what? When you hit the button for search, what's going to come up? Reesville post office closes at 4. Cool. That's what I wanted to do. I sought out when the post office will close. I was given the answer. What if you type that in and all of a sudden, hey, sign up for People Magazine, 12-month subscription, $7.99. That's not what I'm seeking. That's not what I searched for, but that's what I was given. You seek the right things, you're going to be given the right things. Unfortunately, you may also get the advertisements, the YouTube videos that may come up, social media posts from somebody else. My wife and I were talking about one of her friends that she has not seen since college. Well, guess what happened? Through my Facebook pops up friends you may know, and it was her friend. We had just talked about that probably 10 minutes before that. They listen to everything. I will search stuff for soccer. Guess what comes up? Soccer scores on the phone or on the TV. Commercial pops up. Man, I think about getting a new car. What comes up? Oh, buy the new 2025 Lexus. What the? They know. Well, guess what? Guess who else knows? You're seeking something. He's going to give you what you're seeking for. So you can find it. You cannot seek people, unfortunately, that will enclose themselves and like what I like to call an echo chamber. What is an echo chamber? Here's what an echo chamber could be. When we just repeat and echo back to ourselves our own views. You sit in a house alone, talking to a wall, and you start answering yourself. Is that productive? Is that seeking anything other but what your thoughts are? You could sit there and have a conversation with yourself and answer yourself, but is it actually truly what you should be seeking? You should be seeking others, because then you could seek them. They could seek other people. They could seek other people. It's a cycle. We need to use what God has given to us. He has given us God-given brains. He's given us minds. He's given us intellect to analyze, complicated matters or even just the simple matters. He wants us to study. He wants us to learn. He wants us to read. He wants us to research. Unfortunately, all of this takes time. But how is it this day and age? We don't like to wait. We don't like to take time to do something. We have become addicted to the instant, the quick, and the convenient. Go to any drive-thru. I want my cheeseburger in 2 minutes, even though I only wanted onions on half of it, ketchup on the other half, and pickles on the bottom. I want it right now. I want it right after I order it and get to the window. That's unfortunately how everybody is. I want it now. I didn't want it yesterday. I want it now. I wanted it 3 weeks ago. We have become addicted to having everything instant. You search something, instantly comes up. Because we have become addicted to right here, right now. I'm not going to wait. We need to slow down, take some time for God, and get what He wants us to seek. We need to learn His Word. We need to know peace, and then spread His Word and peace to others. We are God's people. We must remind ourselves and others that His Word is truth, and the truth begins with His Word. So everybody knows the story of the three wise men. I mean, this time of year, you're definitely going to hear it. The three wise men. It comes from the Gospel of Matthew. It is probably one of the greatest go-seek stories that you're going to hear. The Bible story regards a group of scholarly foreigners who traveled to visit Jesus after his birth, bearing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And here it comes. Matthew 2, 1 through 11. It is a long one. Bear with me. It's a good story. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who had been born the King of the Jews? We saw this star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet had written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people, Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out where the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child, and as soon as you find him, report back to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On the coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So, Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea during the time of King Herod. Wise men from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who was born king of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." So there, right there, there's a seek moment right there. They see a star. They go to find out why they're seeking this star. When King Herod heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. He called together all the leading clerics and scholars of the law, and he questioned them about where Christ was to be born. In Bethlehem, in Judea, they answered, for this is what the prophet has written. So there again, seeking to where Jesus was born. Well, of course, King Herod secretly, got with these three wise men and told them, you know, follow this star. When you find the child, at the end of it, report back to me so that I may worship him as well. There's another seek. And of course, when, they found the child, they observed Mary with the child, they bowed down and they worshiped him. And they also opened the treasures and presented him with gold, frankincense, and myrrh. When the wise men discovered Jesus and Mary, they probably would have been residing in a small house, probably in Bethlehem, and Jesus would have been between the ages of about 1 or 2, because they didn't meet him at his birth. They met him later. Their gifts, unfortunately, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Is that something you would give a kid nowadays? Gold is great, but frankincense and myrrh, kind of questionable. They kind of just look at him, and they would smell it, and they'd probably make your nose, a face, whatever, of like, this is nothing I can play with or eat. Well, you could eat it, but you probably wouldn't want to eat it. But here's some possible purposes and meanings of those three things. So if anybody asks you why Jesus was given frankincense and myrrh, you can give them these three things, and even the gold. Okay. So the first one, gold is affiliated with kings. Christians believe that Jesus is the King of Kings. There you go. That's why he's given gold. Frankincense. It's used in liturgical worship in traditional churches and represented that people would worship and praise Jesus. There you go. That's why he's given frankincense. Now, here's the hard one, myrrh. It is a fragrance that is embedded on dead bodies to make them smell pleasant, and it represents that Jesus would endure persecution resulting in his death. There you go. Why was he given myrrh? Was there something later on in his life to represent why he was given myrrh? There you go. The three wise men were tasked with going out and doing what? Seeking Jesus. So that they could worship him and tell others that they may worship Jesus as well. So you think, these three wise men, seek Jesus. Do you think they were the only ones that really actually seek Jesus? Think of that day and age. There was farmers, there was carpenters, there was, people of the land that worked, there was fishermen, all kinds of people doing jobs. Do you think they would actually seek Jesus as well? So here's the thing. Picture this. Just take some time while I'm going through this and just picture this. Picture this. There is this bright, shining star in the sky constantly. You're out there working in the fields. You look up, all you see is this bright light and this one star. You just go, eh, back to what you're doing? Or do you sit there and think, man, is there a meaning behind this? Is there a reason that this star is just here and it never goes away? Maybe there's something to this. Would you feel beckoned to follow it? It's this big old shining star in the sky. Would you be like, man, I'm gonna start walking to it. Why is it moving? Why is it moving? Okay, why is it moving? And you would just keep going. Or would you stop? I'm not gonna follow this. I'm going back to my job. You don't know why, but you have a feeling that you want to continue to follow the star. So once you've followed it for many days, you come upon a stable or house, and you feel this overwhelming sensation of what's in there. Should I go in? Should I not go in? What do I do? But you feel this sensation of, I'm just going to keep going because I want to know what this is all about. I want to know why I've been coming to this one single destination of this star up in the sky, this bright light. So you go in, and lo and behold, you see all these animals, gathered around. Then you see Mary, and you see Joseph, and then in this manger of straw and wood, you see this baby, this majestic and wonderful baby, just laying there. You lay your eyes on this child, and then all of a sudden, you can't take your eyes off this child. You feel this great sensation of peace. You feel this great sensation of love, of grace, mercy. It overtakes your mind, it overtakes your body, it overtakes your soul. You fall to your knees and you just start worshiping. You may even cry, but you don't know why. You just start doing it uncontrollably. So after a few minutes doing this, you finally get up and compose yourself. But you start to notice that you're still standing in the same spot. You're not thinking about anything. Heck, you might not even be breathing and notice it, but you're there. Finally, a thought comes into your mind, and this is the thought. What happens next? What happens next? Do you leave that place and go back to what you're doing, keeping everything to yourself, not saying anything to anybody? Or do you find the first person you see and you tell them and just lay it out there for them? What you experienced, what you saw, what they may experience, what they may see? That's what you have to think. What happens next? Hopefully, you'd want to share that with somebody else and not keep it to yourself in your own echo chamber. Because that is what God did for us. And that's what we should do for Him and what He has called us to do. Seek, find. So, in conclusion, Jesus would seek out those that He knew would build God's kingdom here on earth. We need to do the same. You guys seeked out this morning to come. Well, what do you do after you leave this church? Do you seek something else? Or do you keep it to yourself? Is there a good reason to do this? You may ask yourself, is there a good reason to do this? Well, yes, there's a great reason to do this. It's to live. What is a good reason to live? Well, one day, you will no longer be here. You will be up in heaven with God for eternity. Bless you. Wouldn't you want that for someone else? You're given this gift. Wouldn't you want somebody else to be given that gift as well? One day, you are going to be the hero that you needed to someone else. And you may not realize it. Go out and live. Also, learn as much as you can. One day, again, you won't be around. But when you invest in others, they can carry on what you started. And they can also carry on what they started and give that to somebody else and invest in somebody else. Then that person can invest in somebody else. Then that person can invest in somebody else. And it continues. Isaiah 6:8. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. Go seek. Someone please bow their head. We'll go ahead and end in prayer. Dear precious and Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing those to come out this morning, Lord, or those watching online. See that the message resonates to have us seek you and seek others. You've given each and every one of us a gift that needs to be unwrapped. You've given us great things, and we need to find you because you found us when we were lost. It is the time to seek your help, Lord. You sent your Son to die for us and to seek us. We should seek others as well. You've given us a mission and a purpose and a plan. Allow us to do your good works to those outside these walls, Lord. Have us seek something, because it ultimately is when we seek, we are looking for something specific. Guide and direct us each and every day, and put a head of protection over each one of us as we go out and seek what you would have us to seek.